Everybody, please welcome my friend, the uber-talented, the most down-to-earth, wonderful woman you will ever meet in this industry, Amy Butler. I'll just take this one.
How about that Mark Lipinski? Once I figure out my tax shelter, I'll help you with yours. Oh gosh, wow. Whew, look at all of you. Thank you so much for being with me today. This is incredible. Y'all have a good time? Yeah. There's a lot of smiles, there's a lot of love in here, there's a lot of good energy. I've been in town for a couple days. I'm giving some workshops in the area, and so I'm trying to soak in this yummy, creative vibe of community from all of you as much as I can.
Can we put up the volume?
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Amy Butler's very soft-spoken. She's tall, but she's quite soft-spoken. So, did you get to check out my introduction slideshow? Did you see some of the beautiful images? Kind of feels good, right? I'm going to be a little nosy here today because this is one of the first times I've shared this talk, and I'm going to look down a little bit just because I don't want to leave any of the juicy bits, because there's some juicy bits. But so the slideshow is a visual celebration, and looking at things beautiful, finding things beautiful, has an intrinsic energy that vibrates, and I think that has a big part to do with why we love to do what we love to do. We love to use our hands, we love to see beautiful things, we love to feel have tactile experiences, and we love to be together and share all those things. And a lot of things that happen when we get together is we talk about why we're here, what makes us happy, what's next, what's going to excite me. And that's a lot about what my talk is about today, creative evolution. And that's really what we're all up to. We're all here looking for our, oh, that's okay, sweetie. Oh, this is better. Okay. Oh, as a matter of fact, I think I need my bifocals while we're here. All right. There we go. Much better. So, excuse me, I lost my place there for a second. Get my mic together. All right. So yeah, that's what we're all really up to. We're looking for our own unique pathways for our gifts to find expression. And the gifts that we each have are directly tied to what we love and how we want to feel. Would you agree? Isn't that true? It's so nice to talk about that. And it's all about connecting to what lights us up, and about letting this be our compass for the choices that we make. So I wanted to call my talk Creative Evolution because it really describes where I am in my life and what I've been discovering, and I'm confident you're all going to really relate to some of the stories and things I'm going to share with you today. It's kind of like a team sport, really, we're all in this together. We're just on our own unique pathway there. Part of the unveiling of discovering our creativity, our passions, the things that drive us and make us feel good, are having experiences that present challenges, which are really opportunities. But these challenges create the contrast that we need to look at things a little bit differently, to kind of shift things around, where we can truly get to a place in our hearts and really start to honor and pay attention to those things that light us up. The contrast, talking about the contrast and needing to look at things differently, and allowing us to make the choices that remove some of those blocks that are keeping us disconnected from our hearts, keeping us disconnected from following through on those things that make us happy. And some of those blocks look like things like negative thoughts, those kind of negative thoughts that kind of circulate in your head, and they're in there so long you just think they're true just because they keep repeating themselves. Or stories and fears that have come from our conditioning, how we were raised, or what a well-meaning teacher told us, or a parent told us at some point, and then life experience. And the idea is, as we remove these blocks, we begin to connect to our hearts and make more room for who we really are to come forward. And allowing, this is a place where it allows our gifts to shine. And this is a place where we're open, we're creative, and we're happy. So going to go ahead and advance to the next slide. Okay, I love this quote from Marianne Williams, and she kind of puts it all together here. We're all meant to shine, and as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give people permission to do the same. And that in and of itself is proof in the pudding that when we're happy, we make everybody else happy. When we're shining and we're following our hearts and we're doing those things and we're giving attention to our hearts and the things that make us happy, people recognize that same light in themselves. So if anybody tells you you can't go to quilting one night, you tell them, you just pull this quote out and give it to them. So my dream is that we all live from a place of understanding that, first of all, there's nothing wrong with us, and we start exactly where we are. Where we all are in our lives right now is absolutely perfect. We're exactly where we're supposed to be. This is where our journey is taking us. And if you reflect back on the path of your life, you see all the experiences as a gift and an opportunity for growth. And that's really true when you get a chance to get perspective on how your life is unfolding. Those are the kinds of things you start to realize, and you feel connected to something way bigger than yourself. So our happiness is totally an inside job. We already have everything we need to live our creative dream. And our happiness in any given moment comes from our choices and the perceptions around what we choose to experience and how we perceive our experiences. We get to choose what our experiences mean to us. And this is where we get our power back. This is where our creativity explodes. This is where our happiness and unshakable peace lies. And it's always within us, and it's never outside of us. So we get to cultivate our knowing and who we are, coming from this place, and how we create no matter what outside experiences are happening, and no matter what our culture's negative conditioning and programming or paradigms might say. Ultimately, when we live from this place, our outside reality will match our inner truth. So, are you with me so far? Like, we totally have this, right? So, nothing illustrates what I'm talking about better than good old-fashioned life experience and examples. And you probably heard the phrase, you teach what you want to learn. And so this is totally what I've been discovering over the last 2.5 years for myself. And a lot of you are shaking your heads and going, yeah, I totally get what you're talking about. And so being able to share this as a creative person and kind of embracing the idea that life just keeps evolving, and there's the fears and the blocks and things that get in our way of kind of realizing that that's what's really going down and it's all happening for us. So I'm going to share some stories, and I'm going to start going through a few slides right now. I'm just going a little slow, and I'm just doing a little bit of this groovy thing. Thank you. So I'm just going to share some experiences, kind of go back to the beginning a little bit and give you a little background. I know you're familiar with me and some of the things that I've done, but Dave and I started our studio in 1992 with a mission to make art and be at home with our families in Ohio. We were living in Kansas City, Missouri at the time, and we were in our late 20s, spending all of our time driving back home to be with everybody, and we're like, you know what, let's just craft this out. Let's figure out how to make a life back home in Ohio and be with the people that we love. So when we were starting, we were really creating from our hearts with, we have nothing to lose. Like, we didn't have anybody, any other previous experiences that said we couldn't do anything, as we were two young kids out of art school, been working for just a handful of years, and we really were letting our passions lead the way. So we were creating, we were had a strong knowing that the things that we were doing, the things we were following through on, were going to really work out. So everything we created kind of kept naturally building and linking up to the next creative opportunity. And for several years, we had our design studio, Art of the Midwest, and then it eventually evolved into Amy Butler Design in 2002. And that was a whole other interesting chain of events, but things were really kind of starting to unfold beautifully. My passion for sewing and textile design exploded, and I was pinching myself because I was able to design the fabric that I really loved, and that was like, I couldn't believe myself. It was like, I'm so inspired and excited, loved to hand make, and I wasn't finding the fabrics and things that I wanted to work with at the time, and I loved vintage things, and it was just a creative whirlwind for me, and I was really having a ball getting to work with my fabrics. And Dave and I's gifts really started to gel. The two of us with our backgrounds really played around with building the studio and the marketing and Dave's photography, and we were really enjoying building that visual story, which was, the goal is always for us to capture how we feel about what we're doing. So I'll probably keep going just a little bit more. I have inundated you with a lot of beautiful slides, so thank you. So each new fabric collection inspired new sewing projects, new decor projects, and my vision for telling lifestyle stories for craft, home, and fashion became realized in some wonderful licensing partners that allowed me to create designs that I love for bedding, wallpaper, bags, and stationery, and handmade rugs. I'm going to let you go forward just a few more. So this is kind of the history of everything kind of evolving and come together. It's a wildly creative time for us, probably a period of about 3 or 4 years when we were creating all this content and starting to do our quote markets and trade shows and really getting a feel for creating this visual story and really loving getting to share it with people. I have a cue, there's going to be a photo of a row where you'll stop. And I'll let you get up to that row. So, all the opportunities kept coming for us. And although I knew that what I created was coming from my gifts, you know, we were doing, I found myself wrapped up in the whirlwind. And it's like working hard, building, and there was a lot of creativity, there was a lot of heart in it, but at the same time, I was building all this stuff outside of myself, and all of a sudden I found myself in a place where I was actually disconnected from the beautiful things I was making. I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but I began to feel anxious and disconnected from what I was making. And it didn't make any sense to me. It's like, how can I be making this beautiful stuff? How can I have this wonderful husband and this really great life? And why am I unhappy? Like, what is going on? What is with all this doing and this disconnection? So I began to start looking, and for me personally, I've always been a seeker, always been interested in spirituality, expanding my consciousness, learning more about myself, and I had a really neat opportunity as a resource to connect with a very special weekend event about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, after a series of things lined up for me. Oh, that's the spot. That's our sweet spot. Thank you. I normally have a clicker that I advance the slides, and so we're just going to kind of go with this. But this is kind of a neat story because truly what happens is we always get what we need at the right time. We always are cared for. The right resources come to us at the right place at the right time to take us to that next place in our hearts. So a series of events lined up, and I chose to go to Patricia Moreno's Sati Life retreat at the Omega Institute. Are any of you familiar with the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York? So they have a whole platform of wonderful mind, body, spirit projects and programs, and they have teachers come in. And Patricia's retreat weekend was focused on her Intensati workout, which is a mind, body, spirit workout, which is like the total package. So you get to connect, you know, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. The workout itself is emotive and connects all the dots for you. So it was a powerful experience because it was the first time that I actually had the opportunity to start looking at some of the things that were rolling around in my head, some of the old beliefs, some of the old programming and negative thinking that I came to learn were those blocks that were keeping me disconnected from my heart. And I started to have this huge aha moment, and I remember distinctly going back to my room that first night, and my heart was up in my throat. I'm like, something big is going to happen. Things are going to change. And it was the first time I really thought about how powerful my thoughts were, and this is what I was learning from the weekend experience, and that my thoughts were actually creating my reality. My thoughts, my perceptions were creating the kind of life experience that I was having. So I'm thinking, there's something to this. There's something to this that's going to really connect me to my heart and my creativity. So another beautiful thing happened that weekend. I was at this retreat where I met Hildy Dunn from the Handle Life Coaching Group. And she was partnering with Patricia in this weekend event because of the Handle methodology is this really great program that gives you a set of tools that allows you, with love, to kind of dismantle how you're thinking, how to pull it out of your head and your person, how to get clear about what you want to actually dream about your intentions and what you want to call into your life, calling who you really are forward, essentially, and then a set of tools on how to process and work with that, and keep building and bring you closer to your truth and closer to your heart. So, interestingly, I started coaching with Hildy because I found that these tools were mind-blowing. You know, I had been rolling around with these negative thoughts and doing, and trying to like build all this stuff outside of myself and not connecting all of the pieces. And so I started working with her, and I've been coaching with Hildy for about 4 years. And interestingly, as soon as I started doing the work with Hildy, huge changes started happening. And that's the beautiful metaphysical dynamic of initiating change in your life, initiating your intention, changing what you're focusing on, changing what you're paying attention to. And so you always get what you need. I said that earlier. So big changes started happening in our world. And it was about this time the world markets were changing, our industry was changing, and it started to affect the sales in our studio. So David and I at this point had expanded our business. We had really grown our overhead on top of that. We had 3 different studio spaces. We had 5 full-time employees, and our cash flow was slowing down. And it was one of the scariest times of our life. We had these beautiful people that help us with this business. We've built this business to this level, looking at it from that perspective. You know, all these fears and all these scary things started coming up. And it was probably one of the scariest times of our lives. It was a really, really challenging period for us. But because of some of the tools that I was beginning to learn with Hildy, Dave was on board with me all the way, because he swears by my coaching. It's changed our whole lives. But we agreed that we were on this journey together, and we decided to flip how we perceived what was going on, because the other way wasn't working. The other way was just causing a whole bunch of hell and suffering. So we decided to see it as an opportunity. And then the minute we started to flip how we were perceiving what was happening, all kinds of beautiful changes started happening. All kinds of positive opportunities started evolving within ourselves and in our discussions and what we were focusing on. And it allowed us to really slow down and take beautiful care of the people that worked for us. So we had a time period. We had about 6 months that we told everybody the truth right up front. Here's where we are. This is what's going on. How can we help you? How can we work together to make this transition a good transition for everybody? And in the end, it worked out really well for them, and everybody, these wonderful things came into their lives too. So the change that's impacted not only affects you in a positive way ultimately, but also everybody involved, because we're all so bloody connected. It's so beautiful. And then Dave and I started to think about, we were changing our whole perspective. We started to think about how we wanted to feel in our studio life. And coming from a place of feeling started to completely redefine what we were focusing our creative energy on. And it guided us to focus on core projects and pieces of the business that started to fit this new perspective, this new criteria. And when we started making those decisions, many extraneous things started falling away. Things that were part of that distraction, things that were part of all that doing, and then we really got down to those core things that had the deepest amount of value to us, that were feeling creative, that were feeling expansive, that were feeling loving. And we found ourselves feeling lighter, more flexible, and super freaking creative. So these big changes, challenges, produced a flurry of new ideas and inspirations, and things really started to take off for us in a whole new way, because we got clear about what was really happening. And it wasn't that things were falling apart, it's that things were falling open. And that has shifted everything. So it was at this time that Blossom Magazine was born, and many other soulful creative adventures for Dave and I. He's really quite the rock star, and I'll tell you a little about that in a little bit. But it was just a really wildly creative time. It felt like Dave and Amy when we were 26 years old again. And we were really, really connected back to more of who we really are. So this next slide is a fabulous Neil Donald Walsh quote from one of his books, Conversations with God. And I love this because it kind of succinctly wraps up what I just shared with you. So he says, choose in every moment that you can manage it to make life an experience of creation rather than a reaction. And those two words are interesting. When you look at creation, you take the C off, you've got reaction. And a lot of our reaction is that programming, so that habitual way of being in the world. It's not that we're bad people, it's because we're human. And when something does not feel welcome that arises in your life, don't ask yourself, what does this mean? Ask yourself, what do I want this to mean? And what do I choose this to mean? That shifts everything. And then don't look to your mind to give you the answers. Your mind's just a fabulous computer. It's a wonderful tool, but that's not all true what's rolling around in your head. You give the answers to your mind. This is called making up your mind. I love that. Making up your mind. And most people let their minds tell them what to think, but masters tell their mind what to think. So that's a dramatically different change there in perception. So I was journaling a few months ago, and I had more realizations about what's been happening with us over the last couple of years, and I realized that it was such a massive blessing that I lost my footing so intensely, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have started to look within. And looking within is what has opened everything out. And it caused a lot of my negative beliefs and old programming to come forward on those challenges so that I could process it and let it go without judgment, but process it without love. And that's a whole another different huge dynamic for me. But I realized that, I know I created my art from my heart, but a lot of my doing energy, that doing, was motivated by some of my old thoughts and beliefs and programming, some of the things that I learned, like the old German work ethic. That sound familiar? I had a lot of ideas that my self-worth somehow came from all my doing, and that my value and my acceptance, I would somehow think I was worthy and awesome enough to myself if I achieved enough, if I did enough. So that's where all the doing came from, and that's how I got so disconnected. And I'm so happy that it happened. And also during this time, to feed the beliefs, I had grown attached to my identity and my happiness on some level, that it was what was going on outside of me, that someday I would see what I was doing, and somehow that's where I would feel like I was worthy. But as my life dramatically changed and shifted, it forced me to look inside, and I was finally seeing that I can't control everything. Do any of you think you can control everything? Why I did that? I think just it's fear. It's as a way to feel secure, learning as little kids. But I realized I can't control everything and do and be enough to keep the world from changing. So I started embracing change. It's like, oh my God, this is kind of awesome. And it really caused me to connect to my real worth. My worth is who I'm being in my heart, and that's where my happiness comes from, and all my creativity, and all my abundance. I have another slide. Thank you. So what we need is a shift in our perspective of challenge and change. When things appear to be falling apart, it's a good sign that we're on the right path. That's counterintuitive, but that means awesome stuff is getting ready to go down. We need the contrast of challenging situations to bring up the parts of our lives that aren't working and are ready to be healed. In this place, we can make new choices that serve our happiness, and through this dynamic process, we learn that life is always happening for us. And that's a beautiful place. That one change in perspective for all of us can change everything. The contrast gives us the opportunity to step into our power by evolving what we think. And we wouldn't look at what we're thinking if we didn't have some troubles around it. If we didn't struggle, we wouldn't even start looking inside to see what was going on in our head. And by evolving what we think and bringing it into alignment with what we say and do. And it's really about who we're being from our hearts. So everything that's happening is an opportunity. If that's the only thing that you leave with today from me, that would be awesome. That we stay open and cultivate this knowing, huge, massive love, joy, and abundance are ours. And that's really why we're all here. We're all here to experience that place in our heart and share that with others. We're all here to serve each other. We're all here to be here for each other. So the opportunities keep bringing up lots of shifts, lots of changes, going up against more blocks, more fears, and it's kind of like, the peeling away of the layers of an onion. And with each challenge and opportunity, I get a new gift of awareness, a new gift of expansion. And that's kind of becoming a game. I'm kind of waiting for something else to change dramatically so I can see what's on the other side. But as we build our awareness and keep removing the blocks, our course corrections get more gentle. So the course corrections keep coming because we're still building those muscles. You know, we're still growing, we're still expanding. But the course corrections get a little softer because along the way, we earn all this new programming. Our filters are changing. And so our perceptions are changing, and then our experiences are changing. It's our new operating system. And that's fueled by our empowering choices that come forward because we've dismantled the process of dismantling old fears and beliefs. So I have a fresh example from a few weeks ago, part of the onion. I work with a wonderful wallpaper company in England called Graham & Brown. And we've been trying to create a new wallpaper collection for the last couple of years. We've been brainstorming, getting ready for the markets, and coming up with some new ideas. And I got a call from Donna that I worked with a few months ago, and she said, Amy, you know, this is going to be really disappointing, but we're not going to be able to launch another collection this fall. We still have quite a bit of inventory from the first collection. Our business pattern, our strategy doesn't allow us to print more yardage of wallpaper until we kind of hit that certain line where we've sold out enough of the previous inventory, which is a good business practice. And so I got the information from Donna, and my first reaction was, oh my God, this is terrible news. This is, I had that reaction. It was like an old habitual reaction. But, oh my God, things are falling apart. They're trying to get rid of me, blah, 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 blah. And then I caught it, and I was like, wait a minute, this isn't what's happening. Things aren't falling apart, things are falling open. And so once I started changing my perception, I caught what I was thinking. And that catching of the thinking, is like, it's just getting to know yourself. It's not crucifying yourself, we're not bad people, it's just like, oh, okay, well there's another one I can take a look at, there's another thought I can take a look at. And the minute I let go of that, holding on to the fear, and I started changing my perception around it, I literally had like 5 wonderful marketing ideas. I had 3 new project ideas. I had a whole program literally in 5 minutes. So I called Donna and I'm like, Donna, this is fabulous. She loved my ideas. And it was exciting because I fell in love with my wallpaper all over again. I was like, oh my God, this paper is beautiful. There's so much more I can do with this paper and share with people. And it became a wonderful creative opportunity. And it benefits everybody involved. So I was really excited about that I had that opportunity to start to catch it and then turn it around and realize what was really happening. And then just that kind of dynamic energy, that change in energy, that change in thinking really causes a whole new dynamic to unfold. I'm deciding if you want to go forward yet. So, I really got through a lot of information right there, and I wasn't expecting that. That's really fun. So what I'm trying to say is the key is that we don't get attached to what will happen either way, and know that what's happening benefits everybody involved. And that was a great example of that dynamic. So now I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to put the pieces together bit by bit. It's getting very interesting, very exciting, getting to know Amy Butler, and because of the changes and shifts, I have this really deep feeling that things are going to take off beyond my wildest dreams because I'm focusing my energy in a different place, and it's creating a whole different energetic shift in my life and in the lives of other people that I know and love and interact with. So, and that's true. This is really what's happening for all of us. We can't fail, no matter what experiences are happening, no matter what hardships, no matter what challenges, no matter what fears come up. It's all for us. It's all part of our beautiful humanness. And when we can embrace that and allow that to move through our lives, to shift how we're feeling and perceiving, our life has a whole different feeling around it. So the key is to change our perceptions and stay open to what's happening. And reminding ourselves that it's happening for all of us. And remember, it's all about expanding into more. Life is about expansion. If you look at nature, nature is always changing. Nature is always expanding into more. We are nature. We're part of the whole beautiful dynamic that's here on this plane. And so when we start to think about it that way, it allows us to open up and feel more flexible and to really allow. So I'll start the slides again. Thank you. So with all these beautiful changes, Dave and I are in an exciting place. It's thrilling for me to get to talk about this because I feel in my creative community, all of us connected. I know we're all going through the same things, and I'm thrilled to share about it because I know what a difference it's making in all of our lives for all of us to have this conversation. So wonderful things creative things are unfolding for us. I'll go ahead and go on to the next slide for a little bit there. Thank you, Blossom Magazine. Perfect. And you can keep going just a little bit. So Blossom Magazine was born from all this transition. And if you haven't looked at Blossom Magazine, I have 2 online digital magazines that are a beautiful creative compendium about love, inspiration. And for me, the magazine came out of all of these experiences, so I connect us to a lot of inspiration. It's curated by me, so it's curated from my heart, so it has a lot of Amy inspiration, a lot of Amy feeling to it. But it's filled with yummy visual stories and creative essays, empowering essays from other contributors that remind us all of our gifts and our brilliance.